This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And folks, you know, prior to this year, probably the most I've ever seen a movie at the theater. I've seen Clerks 2 5 times, I saw The Exorcist 5 times, and I saw E.T. the Extraterrestrial 5 times. Well, this year I surpassed that because I saw a movie that, man, it just took me back with the music soundtrack, and it kind of did the same thing Rock of Ages did for me, which I saw 4 times when it came out. It took me back with the music, and music can do that for you. But, you know, you get interesting characters in a movie, that can do it as well. I'm talking about a movie called Everybody Wants Some. I love that film. I saw it 9 times, folks. And it's well worth checking out. The spiritual sequel of sorts for Richard Linklater to Dazed and Confused. And as good as Dazed and Confused is, I liked Everybody Wants Some even more. And I have on the phone with me one of the cast members of that movie. And, you know, with Halloween coming right around the corner, you know, one good stop you could make is the Party Oz. And I happen to be talking to the loveliest resident at the Party Oz, Debra Kadabra herself, Tory Taranova. How you doing, Tory?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
This is an honor, you know. I've been wanting to get somebody from that movie on, and you know, and it's like I got to celebrate this movie, and I was so glad to make that connection with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Now, I was a little surprised when your first response I got from you. You said that, well, let's just say you've got a little bit of a New Brunswick connection. Would you like to talk about that?
I do. So my grandfather is actually born and raised in New Brunswick.
Wow. Is he still here?
Yeah, he's Canadian, born and raised. No, he passed away. So he moved to Virginia when he was in his late teens. But he was born and raised in New Brunswick. I think actually, perhaps in Fredericton that you guys are from. So small world.
Well, we have Fredericton, St. John, and Moncton. So, wow, that was pretty cool when I found that out. So, a New Brunswick connection for you. That is quite the thing.
Yeah.
Wow. So, have you ever been up this way?
I've never been to New Brunswick. I've been up to like British Columbia.
Okay.
And some in Alberta.
Okay.
But I haven't had the opportunity yet to visit the rest of Canada.
Yeah, but the closest we have for celebrities, and I tell all my guests this, are the Trailer Park Boys. Are you familiar with them?
I am not. The Trailer Park Boys?
They're kind of our Cheech and Chong, only there's 3 of them. They've done 3.
Okay.
They've done 3 movies. Ivan Reitman produced their first movie, but they've gone on 11 seasons here. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, you'll have to check them out. They're pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, you were in Everybody Wants Some. You played, of course. One of the things I liked in that movie is they went to all these different locations in this movie. Like, you know, they went to the time machine, and they got kicked out of there, and they went to the country club, and they went to the punk club there, and then they went to the Party Oz, and what a bizarre little location there. And of course you played Debra Kadabra, and was it just a standard audition that you got that role? How was that come about?
No, that usually, very often for these first things, the first round of it on tape. So I actually auditioned for, I think, 3 of the different girls, and I got a call back on 2 of them, and so I flew to Austin for the callback because I had just recently moved from Texas to Los Angeles. I'm originally from Texas, and I did the callback. Basically, Linklater let me he was in the room for the callback, and I improvised for probably about 10 minutes after my audition finished. I was having a fake conversation on the phone with my fake boyfriend about Led Zeppelin. I know Linklater's a big Led Zeppelin fan, as am I. And he was just cracking up. And then I heard a week later that they wanted me for the part.
Wow. And of course, you got to play Debra Kadabra, of course. It was dressed, of course, everybody at the party Oz was all dressed in like Wizard of Oz / Alice in Wonderland get-ups. And of course, you were dressed up as a dominatrix. How was that costume like to be part of?
Well, for one, I think they gave me 7-inch heels, so I was epically tall. And I remember I was walking over these wooden planks, and I had to try to avoid the holes in the wooden planks because they were stilettos and it was very difficult to walk. Kept slipping in. But yeah, funnily enough, I actually ended up playing a dominatrix yesterday at another project because they'd seen me play a dominatrix in Linklater's movie. So there seems to be a trend.
Something tells me you better not be throwing your dominatrix clothes away.
Well, I mean, if they, maybe I should actually buy one. They gave me that costume wear, but if you go to my Instagram, you can actually see my dominatrix from yesterday.
The costumes, were they were they different from each other or similar? Or because I noticed you almost had like with the hat on your head, almost like a flight attendant kind of dominatrix look to you in Linklater's film.
Yeah, there's lots of different kinds of dominatrixes. I actually, when I was prepping for the part, I looked into dominatrixes and the S&M movement and kind of that, just for fun. And there's lots of different styles. Like the one I played yesterday was, she was definitely more almost militaresque. So
okay.
Hair pulled back tight leather pants, like an asymmetrical, almost like futuristic military thing going on.
Okay.
So all different kind of things.
Well,
but a whip regardless.
A whip. You had like a little crop thing in Linklater's film, right?
Like a small little whip, you mean?
Is that what that was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know what they didn't actually show, but between every single take, I actually whipped a different boy, and so they didn't know between each one. It didn't hurt them or anything, but they never knew with each take who I was going to whip, and that was kind of the fun of it.
Well, I loved the way you walked, like the way you walked over to them, you know. You had kind of a sway to your movements. It was very sexy, very elegant, and just the way you presented yourself, it was fantastic.
It was fun. I mean, Linklater pretty much let me do whatever. I actually originally didn't have any lines in the movie, and so everything was completely improvised. Didn't know until I showed up to watch the movie myself what was actually going to be included, because we did lots of different things.
Well, as I've mentioned to you, I went to it 9 times. I couldn't wait to see it because when I saw the trailer for it, like I was born in 1972, so I grew up with a lot of that music. So well, they were going to college in 1980. I would have been 8 years old. And, but I couldn't wait because I knew Linklater would pull off the look. Like Boogie Nights pulled off the 70s, you know, and Dazed and Confused pulled off the 70s. And some movies, they try to be a certain era and they fail because you just don't feel like you're there. And Linklater did that beautifully. And I'm going to say it. Not only did I see that 9 times, I know there's a girl right now that works at the theater up the hill that got so... she would come in to clean the theaters, and she would do a double take and see me sitting there, and she'd look at me and she'd go, "You're here again?" The manager came in there one time at me and looked at me and goes, "You must really like this film."
That's awesome. No, it is really good to hear that people liked it.
I loved it. And you know what? I'm disappointed that it didn't do really well. And it wasn't released, I don't think it was released overseas, according to Box Office Mojo. And it was kind of frustrating for me because people generally, they'll rush out and see what the advertisers tell them to see. And that's not exactly how I run. Like, I'm going to tell you, I had about a week ago, I had Molly Hagan on here, and she was in the movie Election with Reese Witherspoon. And I did not know until I interviewed her that the movie didn't do well at the box office. And thanks that critics really liked Election, that it got nominated for an Oscar and was up for some Golden Globes and opened up things for Reese Witherspoon. And I'd say critics really helped Election elevate higher and gain it more of an audience. To all those people that say us critics don't know what we're talking about, yeah, I think we do. And Everybody Wants Some is one of those movies that got a really high score on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it was fantastic. I don't think it was marketed right, but I do think it's got the potential to gain a cult audience, and with people like myself who's seen it multiple times in theaters. Now I got it on Blu-ray home so I could see it multiple more times. But I got a real kick out of the movie. It just felt like I was hanging out with these people for 4 days before class. Yeah. But the box office,
it was a fun cast and crew. Like, several of the guys and I have become friends since then. Tanner Kalina, who plays the kind of dumb young one, we're friends out here. And Forrest, who plays the sort of the gruff one with the handlebar mustache.
Yeah, wake up, Coma.
Huh?
Wake up, Coma.
That's right, Coma. That's the character. But three of us all moved to Los Angeles around the same period of time, so we've kind of been fast friends ever since.
You know what? I got to reach out to them and see if they'll come on here.
Yeah, they're both good guys, so I'm sure they'll be open.
Well, if they don't, you'll have to take that whip and give them a hammering.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it shows how kind of relationships build, because we became friends on set. And that ending part, the ending scene that they're talking about my character, that was completely improvised. They just made everything up on the spot. I didn't even know till I saw the movie that they incorporated that into the character. So it was a nice little surprise for me too.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was disappointed the box office, to this film. What do you say? Do you think it was not marketed well enough? Would you agree?
Well, I know a lot of people didn't know about it. For one, I think because Boyhood was such a rage, and it had been a few years since Boyhood's release. So yeah, I think it wasn't as much pushed even here in Los Angeles, where everyone knows everything. More people probably knew about it here than other parts of the country, but still, everyone didn't know about it like they knew about Boyhood. So whether that comes down to politics or marketing, I'm not sure. And
you know what? Linklater's had this problem before, too. Like, I remember Waking Life, we didn't get that here. And Scanner Darkly, like, I had to see Scanner Darkly down here at the Film Society here at the university to see that. And it's sad because Linklater's got such a vision. I love these filmmakers that try to create something and allow us to relate to his vision, And I think Everybody Wants Him. To me, I'm going to just come out on a limb and say this. People can disagree with me. I think it's his greatest work.
Really?
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
Yes. Like I said, I went to it 9 times. I mean, you can quote me on that. They could put that right on the poster if they want to. I went 9 times. We only had it for 2 weeks, so had we had it longer, I probably would have kept going. Because there's a story about Gene Siskel going to Saturday Night Fever 17 times when that came out in 1977, and I was like, gee, I might have been able to match that with this film, the way it was playing. Yeah. But
cool.
Yeah, but I loved you as Debra Kadabra. What a great name, Debra Kadabra. Was that Linklater or you?
Huh?
Was that Linklater or you that came up with that name?
That was the writing team for the name. Yeah, and at first it was just gonna be Debra, or they weren't gonna even say my name. They're like, maybe just walk up, but I got to say my name on camera and got to do everything. So I'm glad that got out there, because there aren't that many named females actually in that movie, if you notice.
No, in fact, number one, I'm going to say this, great job. Even though you're not on screen a lot, you made enough of an impression on me that I reached out to you. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you. I actually ended up getting my current management team from the project as well. They reached out to me after seeing it. So I'm happy about that.
Well, that is awesome. All the best to you. I hope things. I hope we see much more of you in the future. But I'm going to tell you, you mentioned females, and of course, you got to work with the lovely and beautiful Zoey Dersch, who played Beverly. Is that how you pronounce her last name, Dersch?
Deutsch.
Deutsch. Okay.
Zoey Deutsch.
You know what? When I first saw her, I thought, gee, she's really, really pretty. And I looked her up online, and it didn't take me long to find out why she was really pretty. She gets it from her mom. You didn't know her mom was Leah Thompson.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
Her mom is Leah Thompson of Back to the Future, and she has Leah's eyes. Her father is I'm trying to think of the name of the director of Pretty in Pink. I think it's Howard Deutsch, I think it is.
Huh.
I'm probably going to get that wrong, the name of that director, but he directed Pretty in Pink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Leah Thompson is Zoe's mom. And like I said, you can definitely both have the same eyes. And Zoe was great in this movie, especially when she was on the phone with Jake doing the whole conversation, and her posturing and her facial reactions. And I think she's definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing her in that upcoming film with Bryan Cranston and James Franco coming up. It'll be nice to see what she does. What was she like to work with?
She was nice. She was nice and friendly. We didn't get a chance to talk very much, because that was a long night. That Halloween on set, one of those night shoots in Taylor, Texas. But yeah, she was nice.
Yeah. And of course, you had Blake Jenner playing Jake. And of course, we're following him from the opening of the film when he's in the vehicle listening to My Sharona. And a big crate of records. Vinyl making a comeback. All of a sudden, because I remember when vinyl was big years ago, and now it's making a comeback. And Blake Jenner playing Jake, who we follow through this whole thing. What was your memories of him?
Yeah, we hung out some in between. He was, at first I didn't recognize him from Glee, which is where he got his start. And so I swore for a while we were sitting there trying to figure out where we knew each other from, and we never figured it out. And then I realized, I had seen him on Glee. But he was super approachable, super easygoing. I'm actually, a friend of mine just did a movie with him called Edge of 17. That's coming out soon.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's got Haley Steinfeld in it.
Movie, and I got a chance to see an early preview of that. It's actually really, really good.
Okay.
So I wish the best for him. He's a really great dude.
He's in Edge of 17, is he?
Yeah, he plays her brother.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Haley Steinfeld and Woody Harrelson's in that as well. Yeah. I saw the ads. It looks good.
It's really good, and my friend Hayden plays her love interest. So it's been getting great reviews, and I got a chance to see it at Warner Brothers very early on when they were still in the testing period. So I think people are really going to like it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Haley's really good. Liked her in... why am I drawing a blank on the movie she was in? Where she was in? Oh yeah, Pitch Perfect 2. She was in that.
I haven't seen that one. I have not.
And she was in True Grit as well. She's definitely going places.
And she's got a pop singing career too.
Yes, and of course, you showed up there with that whip, and there was 3 fellas standing there. You were going to take that too. I got to say, I loved Glenn Powell as Finnegan.
Mm-hmm.
Loved him. In fact, he may be my favorite one in the movie in terms of the fellas, because let's look at Finn for a second. There's a guy who's not only easygoing, but he can pretty much adjust to any environment. Like, he goes to the sound machine, you know, and then they talk about going to the country club, and he was like, the country and western club, and he's like, I don't want to be around all these country bumpkins, blah, 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 you know. And they said, and the fella goes, does that mean you're not going? And he's like, I didn't say that. And of course he goes there and he's on the bucking bronco bull thing there and getting checked off that. And then the next night when they go to the punk club, it's like, you know, nobody wants to seem to go, but he's down for it. And when then he shows up to Party Oz, it's like, piece of cake, just wanders right through. And I thought I was doing well seeing the film 9 times, but when I reached out to him on Twitter, and he probably gets a lot of tweets, but I noticed his mom had seen it 11 times, so I kind of got topped.
That makes sense.
What was Glenn like?
We actually didn't get much chance to talk because he was kind of whisked away immediately to do the scene with the Mad Hatter.
You got to whip him, though.
I did get to whip him. I got to whip all I think there were like 4 of them. I got to whip them all interchangeably.
Yeah, well, in the cut in the movie, I know you gave him a lash.
I did. I certainly did.
And of course, Forrest Vickery, who played Coma, I liked it when you whipped him, and he's like he does not know what to make of this, and he jolts. And I loved it there. Wake up, Coma! And there's a scene in the movie where Glenn Powell as Finnegan walks by him on the lawn, goes, "Wake up, Powell!" And he smacks the side of his head, and his head just tilts sideways. It's like he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're definitely out of their element at that party.
And yeah, I liked it when they went to the punk club. Finnegan says to Coma, he goes, "What's wrong with you? You should have changed. You're dressed like a Bible salesman." And Coma goes, "You guys could really use a Bible right now."
Yeah, it's funny.
You could tell I've seen the movie a lot. I can quote it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and then of course you mentioned Tanner Kalina, who played Brumley. I gotta say, and I pick up on a lot of these little things about these characters. Like, here's the thing with Brumley is that he's so socially awkward. Like when he's saying like full throttle to the bottle and all this stuff, you know, he's nervous about the coach knowing that they've been drinking, and he gets told to shut the F up by Nesbitt because he's so socially awkward. But you'll notice throughout the movie, in a competitive situation, he excels really well. Like, you'll notice, like, when they're casually, the camera pans by and they're playing basketball, he's actually getting the ball in the baskets. Or you'll notice, like, I don't know if it's that scene or whether it's when they're inside the dorm, he's getting the baskets. And of course you'll notice when he's playing knuckles with Nesbitt, he wins, you know. And he's socially awkward, but yeah, he's got his strong point when it comes to competing. Did you pick up on that?
You know, now that I think about it, I realize it. I think you probably have seen it more times than I have, but that seems to ring true.
What was Kalina like? This is the first time I've seen him.
I probably like I said, I know him and Forrest, like they're my friends out here in Los Angeles. And Tanner's really low key, really creative dude. He has this series online of some sketches that he's done that are really funny of him playing different characters because he's a big into comedy guy. But super creative, super talented. I believe like him and Forrest both are both at some point were CAA or were pocketed or something like that. But yeah, really, really talented, fun dude, really strong writer as well. Yeah, I think he's going to do well.
Does he still have the mustache?
He does not. He's, I think they all grew the facial hair for the roles, and then immediately got rid of them afterwards.
Oh, gee, we'll never recognize Coma now.
Well, I mean, he hasn't changed that much. He still has the same frame. I mean, there's a reason why he was cast.
So is he still dressed like a Bible salesman?
No, not like a Bible salesman. I mean, he's a good Texas boy.
No, but they had that scene there where Brumley has the mustache, and Nesbitt just reached out, touch, and pulls back.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And of course, let's not forget when they're getting ready to go to the sound machine, what does old Brumley do? When nobody's looking, puts that cologne down his pants. Everybody in the theater, every screening, laughed at that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember that was in the trailer as well.
Yeah, and so there was a whole host of interesting people. I don't know how much interaction you did with a lot of these people, but I mean, I'm going to throw some names out here because they were all there at the party. Temple Baker, of course, played Plum. Interesting thing about him, he has that great line where he goes, opens the fridge up and the cat jumps out, and he goes, "Cats don't belong in fridges." And he's the one that has the dialogue about you in that last scene in the movie. Do you have any interactions with him?
I remember talking to him over by the trailers. They seemed cool. We didn't probably exchange more than one or two sentences, because that day was a good, really, really long day for everybody. But he seemed cool, chill, good Texas boy again. Yeah.
And then you got the two rough and tough guys, the seniors, the Ryan Guzman as Kenny and Tyler, how do you pronounce his last name? Hoechlin? Who played Glenn Mcreynolds, kind of a Burt Reynolds look-alike there, like a young Burt Reynolds with that mustache. I liked it when Glenn Mcreynolds would swing that axe and cut the baseball in half, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That was some great stuff. And yeah, they showed up. I know they showed a deleted scene where they're doing the scene where the girls were kissing each other, and comes around, and I guess he and Guzman were faced in the position where they're going to have to kiss each other, and I guess they decided if they didn't do that, they'd have to run through the place in their underwear, and I guess that scene got cut, but it was pretty funny, the deleted scene. Did you have any interactions with them?
With Tyler, a little bit. I remember he's also screenwriting, so in between takes, he was on his iPad writing his latest and greatest screenplay. We were kind of joking and all giving him a hard time about that, because all the guys were kind of in an environment of everyone just kind of joking and giving each other a hard time throughout it. So I myself joined in and was kind of one of the boys for the day. Yeah,
and J. Quinton Johnson playing Dale. He was interesting in the movie as well, and he showed up at Party Oz. And Austin Emilio playing Nesbitt, kind of your redneck residents, as I'd like to classify him as. Do you have any interactions with those two?
I mostly just interacted with the guys who were in my scene.
Okay.
Because everything was bam, bam, bam.
Okay. Well, I tell you, the casting here was really good. I know there were some people that weren't the Party Oz. I must give them a shout out, though. Like Wyatt Russell, of course, looks just like his dad, playing Willoughby, you know. And of course, he was not at Party Oz, but great casting on him. And let's face it, Will Britton as Buter. I almost found him was almost like a reference to Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused, that whole Texas accent thing he had going for him. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, there was some great writing in this film. And I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite characters in the movie was, I don't believe this guy was at Party Oz either, but Justin Street, who played Jay Niles. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
He was so funny, especially.
Yeah, he was.
So funny, especially when they get kicked out of the sound machine and he puts up that little rant. Gets a laugh. Gets a laugh every time. But here's how really good the writing is. I love the fact that Richard Linklater never gave us what we expected. And I'll give you a couple examples. One was with scene between Jake and Buter, where they're having the little confrontation up there in the room there, where he wants to use the room, and Buter, I guess, upset because he's being called Buter. The character's name's Billy Autry. And we're expecting them to come to blows some point in the film, and it never happens. And I like the fact that it doesn't happen, because it gives it a more natural, realistic feel. And another one, too, is the little confrontation between Glenn Mcreynolds and Jay Niles. You know, Jay Niles gets called out by Glenn, and Glenn, you know, ends up teaching him a lesson, hitting that far home run ball, putting Jay in his place. I love that little scene where Jay finally comes up to Glenn and says, you know, great hit, you know, and they kind of patch things. And I love little moments like that because they're unexpected, and it makes the movie more real and much better. Yeah. So what was it like working with Richard Linklater?
Well, Linklater's, he's a very much like go with your instinct director. So he solicits the other actors' feedback a lot, and lets them be very involved in kind of creating their own characters. Yeah, he's very relatable. Doesn't pretend like he's better than anyone. And if you have an idea, you just take him aside and he'll listen to it. And sometimes he'll shut you down. That's okay. I remember a couple ideas. He's like, good idea, but yeah. So working with Richard Linklater, he's a really chill dude. He treats everyone kind of alike on set, whether you're coming in like as a supportive player, like I was, and is very open to feedback. Like I got to create my character. Was very active in that, and he was open to my ideas, and in between each take I would go just like, what about this? And sometimes he'd like, yeah, try it, and other times he'd be like, maybe not, but good idea. And working with someone that open is really, really awesome. And a cool thing about him too, if you don't notice, like in Boyhood and a few of his films before, he likes to use the same actors. He's one of those kind of directors. So now that I've been in his film, I feel fortunate because it's kind of part of the Richard Linklater family now. So cause he very frequently looks at actors and then will consider you for future stuff or bigger roles as my career grows. So that's an exciting position to be in.
Yeah, and he worked with a lot of relatively newcomers for everybody. Everybody wants some, and I hope I see every one of you more in the future too, because Everybody Wants Some was so detailed and interesting. Y'all brought your interesting quirks to the characters, and you know, this was relatively, most of you relative newcomers, was something little different for Linklater to incorporate.
Yeah, I guess he wanted a very Texas-based film since he's a Texas director. So almost all the actors he hired were Texas-based or came through the Texas agency because he wanted that kind of feel. And I think going back to his Days Confused, you know, that movie was responsible for discovering a whole bunch of lesser-known people, and he wanted to go back to that kind of style that he started it with.
Yeah. Now the set for Party Oz, what was that like? Because that was just I mean, I've been to like Halloween parties and parties on campus and parties here and there. I mean, that was quite elaborate. Some of the, especially the costumes and stuff people was wearing. Talk about that.
It was actually a beautiful set. I remember when I first got there, and everyone was just kind of amazed how they had transformed the house in the space. And funnily enough, I'd actually shot in that house before for another project, so I'd seen what it looked like normally. And then I saw the house, and it was beautiful. The art direction and the prop masters. It was one of the most elaborate decorations I've ever seen, but everything was beautiful as well. And I think a lot of people came in with their own costumes, like the extras and stuff like that, and other people were given costumes. But yeah, I think that definitely is the most beautiful set decoration in the movie. The way they used the lights and all that, and some cool stuff. It was, you were really there. It didn't just look good on screen; it looked really good there as well.
Yeah. What did you shoot there before?
I shot a horror movie there. So my very first movie I did when I was about 17, called Butcher Boys. We shot a scene there.
Is Butcher Boys a short? I noticed you got a lot of short films on your resume. Was Butcher Boy a short film or a feature?
No, that's a feature. It's on Netflix. It's a horror movie.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that here momentarily then. Promote that a little bit. I did not know. But I was going to say, though, walking into Everybody Wants, I love when they open that door and you hear pop music by, the song Pop Music. And, of course, you got that strange-looking fellow sitting on the floor there, the hat on, and all the lines that are spiraling around him on the design on the floor. And then you get Finn taking that hat that's got the light in it, and Finn the Freak, Some great stuff there. Yeah, I think this film is fantastic. I think Everybody Wants Some. Great movie. And, of course, we haven't even touched on the soundtrack. I actually ordered the soundtrack after watching this movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? They should do the same thing that Boogie Nights did. Boogie Nights has got 2 soundtracks. And I think they should do the same thing with Everybody Wants Some, because there's songs that aren't on the music soundtrack that were in the movie, and it's got great music right in it, starting with My Sharona, and then even when he enters the house for the first time, you can hear Gold by Stevie Nicks, and I'm trying to think of the name of the Stewart fella that sings that song. You can hear Gold, and then every place has got music playing for something, and there's some songs I have never heard before that I heard for the first time through the soundtrack. Do you got any favorite pieces of music that was in that film?
Well, I gotta say, my very first concert I ever went to was Van Halen, and so whenever I hear Everybody Wants Some, it reminds me of that concert when I was, about 14, when Sammy Hagar was with Van Halen doing that tour. So I gotta say the title track, just because it's good memories for me.
And I love too, again, credit to Linklater, whenever Jake is putting the note and the rose on Beverly's door there, and you can hear the build-up of the Van Halen song coming in the background slowly until he gets to the party, and it just explodes, and he shows up there, and of course they have the mud wrestling fight, which Nesbitt gets stuck in the middle of. Some great stuff there. You got Pat Benatar. A lot of the stuff, like I said, I grew up with, and just a very well. Anybody who hasn't seen Everybody Wants Some, to me, if I find a film this year I like more than that, I'll be surprised.
Well, there isn't much left of the year, so there's a good chance.
Yeah, I love this film, and like I said, I hold that 9 times viewing up really high. So I'm hoping I get more of you from that movie in here for an interview. But I'm going to say, you mentioned Butcher Boys. Now, I did see that on your credits. You say that's a feature, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the very first things I did. But now, I just finished a feature a couple months ago in Colorado called Outer Wild, that we just entered that into Sundance.
Okay, tell us about it.
It's really fun. The director recently won at Sundance about 4 or 5 years ago for a feature that he did there, and it's about this post-apocalyptic world in which basically 99% of the people have been turned into monsters, and the other people either live in the city or estranged from the rest of the world. And I played this girl who has the only human contact she's ever had is her father, and she doesn't understand social anything. And she meets her the first female she's ever come in contact with. And she's smart and weird and kind of like a mortician in a way.
Okay.
And it's a really, really fun role. I'm in about probably half the movie. And it's really challenging, but I'm also sort of the comedic relief of the film. And I'm really excited to see how it comes out. We shot in Gunnison, Colorado, in the middle of nowhere with no internet, no cell phone reception for 2 weeks that I was there.
Wow.
So I'm really excited to see how that all comes together. It was a really hardworking team, and I actually also play my mother in that film, my ghost mother. So I'm curious how to see it all comes out.
So what's the name of this film again?
Outer Wild. It's not posted out on IMDb yet because they're waiting for some reason, but that's coming out. And I actually just booked a series too, a series regular and a series that's going to be. I start shooting on Monday. That's going to be on the European Netflix. So I'm doing bigger and bigger projects, which is exciting.
Tell me about Butcher Boys.
Well, Butcher Boys, I remember I was 16, I think. And I was my first year in college, got to college a little early. And I was in a bunch of bands at the time, and my drummer at the time said, hey, you should audition for a movie. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I auditioned, I ended up getting it. And the writer was the writer from one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres.
Okay.
Yeah, it was your quintessential horror movie about cannibalism. So it's on Netflix. It's the first thing I've ever done. As an actor, you go through and you're like, oh my God, here's all the things I would change. But when the character's name is Barbie, and I was a troublemaker who kind of got everyone into the trouble in the first place.
Okay.
Which is interesting. I continually cast as like sometimes like the bad girl and the troublemaker or the girl with a problem, when in real life people would probably call me pretty all on average all-American. But it was a fun project.
Yeah, I noticed one of your short films is called She. I noticed the poster for that.
Mm-hmm.
You did a lot of short films, yeah.
That one is like a Dr. Jekyll Hyde type of thing. Been making the festival rounds right now. Just made its San Diego premiere on Fright Fest there. But I got to actually play a monster in that as well and do my own fight scenes and stuff like that. And I have a martial arts background. I frequently am doing a lot of my own stunts and fight scenes and stuff like that. Yeah, I do my own stunts and fight choreography, and a lot of my projects are more very physical and action oriented because of that. So if I can get into the Marvel or DC universe, that would be the ideal kind of perfect situation for me.
Oh yeah, that would get you to play one of those female superheroes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Who would you want to play?
Who would I want to play? It's like a lot of them are really good. My uncle insists I should be the female Hawkeye, which they haven't done yet. And
I've got a figurine of it.
Oh, it's you?
Yep.
Yeah, my uncle insists that I look enough like them and have enough similarities that it would be good for whenever they do the female Hawkeye.
Okay.
So that's one of them that I would certainly be open to. But we'll see what comes across the pipeline, because there's going to be a lot of superhero movies to come. They're not ending anytime soon.
Yeah, I've got a female Hawkeye figurine home. Got the wings and everything. Got little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yep. Yeah. So when you did Butcher Boys, your first feature, how did it feel to go into that? Was that your first acting job, period, or just your?
That was my first acting job, period. I mean, I've done a bunch of after that, I did a lot of commercials. I was the face of Dairy Queen in Texas for a couple years. Then I was still touring with music, so my focus was still music throughout that period of time. I was just when I moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago, that it was full time film industry, and building up the credits and the footage and all that over the last few years. A lot of the stuff, the features and stuff like that, they don't even list on IMDb yet.
No.
Just because of stuff is in different post-production stages.
Yeah, because I think the only feature they got listed is Everybody Wants Some.
Oh, Everybody Wants Some, Legend of Dark Horse County, Butcher Boys. There's been a couple that I've done that aren't on IMDb because they're in various stages of post-production as well. That's just how it goes.
So Butcher Boys, how did it feel going into your first acting project? Were you nervous, or?
I mean, I wasn't nervous. I didn't know what to expect at all, especially going into a horror movie, and doing a character that was pretty blasé, and I was a good Christian conservative girl, and here I am cursing every other word. As Miller first time cursing, and I'm doing it on camera, which is a fascinating experience.
I come from a Christian household too, so I was baptized back in
relatively conservative, and then here I am, yelling profanities every other sentence. So certainly was not comfortable for me, but it was a fun team. It was a fine first kind of foray into the film world, and you learn from every project you're on, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I became a Christian. It was back in 1988. So, but I gotta say, a lot of those faith-based movies are so poorly done. I wish they would do a better job on them.
Yeah, there's some good ones. I mean, there's a lot of money behind them. So sometimes they make decisions based on who has more Twitter followers more than who is the best actor. But that's the same for a lot of the industry.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're getting the right people either, because I've noticed with some of the people I've interviewed, they're getting a lot of attention on the CHSR site, and even with my YouTube page going up and going, I've noticed there's a lot of these, especially these cult film actors, they got a big fan base, and yet the industry seems to ignore them. Yeah. Like, I won't be surprised that when I post your interview up, you're going to get a lot of hits.
Cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I do want to mention, of course, I discovered just last night doing some research on you, your music background. Like, you were an American Idol?
I was, yeah. Did American Idol a couple years ago. I was a touring musician with my first band when I was 15, and then throughout college. So yeah, it's near and dear to my heart.
Wow. And you got any music CDs out, or was it just for American Idol?
Yeah, I released a couple EPs that are on iTunes. Have bunch of live stuff all over YouTube from the hundreds of shows I did, because I traveled all around Texas and the South playing shows.
And I noticed,
yeah.
I noticed you did a lot of covers too. What's your favorite cover to do?
Yeah, well, the nature of kind of being a musician, in order to make money, you do a lot of cover gigs, which are fun too. I did a lot of the corporate marketing, like that. There's a lot of ones. I love doing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. It's probably one of my favorites.
Okay.
Let's see. Dave Matthews, Crash Into Me. Do that. Oh, Kashmir is probably my very favorite to play on guitar. I do a cover of Kashmir that I always really enjoy, and I used to close shows doing all the time.
Okay.
And
I noticed you did one on Charlie Chaplin. Now, how did you come to be a fan of Charlie Chaplin? What was your introductory on that?
I mean, that was a song I wrote that actually ended up playing at the Chaplin Festival in New York City. They contacted me in order to have the rights to use that song, which was fun. But I don't know. Sometimes I just get really interested in people. I love reading biographies and things like that, and I just started researching into them until pretty soon I just had a song that kind of about his life and encapsulating it. And yeah, his nickname was the Little Tramp, and that's how that all happened.
You got a favorite Chaplin movie?
Favorite Chaplin movie?
For me, it's City Lights.
It's Lights.
City Lights for me.
City Lights, yeah. I mean, that's the one. That's the one everyone knows. A lot of people don't know that he wrote the song "Smile." Actually.
Oh yeah.
He wrote the song "Smile, though your heart is breaking, smile." You know that one?
I never heard that one.
I'm sure you would hear it with the music. It's a pretty famous song that Chaplin actually wrote. Super multi-talented dude.
Okay. You got a web page. Do you want to promote that?
Sure. I have my website at Tory Taranova, where you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tory Taranova Official, ToryTaranova Official. That's probably the best way to keep in contact is social media. Or you can email me at info@torytaranova.com about absolutely anything.
Cool. You got any charities you're involved in?
Not yet. That's actually a thing that I've been looking more and more into to see what I want to do. But I love supporting those in need.
Well, you know what? It's funny you mentioned Charlie Chaplin because we recently lost Robin Williams, which was a major tragedy. Yeah. And remember the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, there was another challenge that came up after Robin Williams had passed in honor of to support suicide and depression. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to some of my interviewees on this, and I got a really, really grand response. Mm-hmm. And there was a campaign called Doubtfireface going around for suicide and depression awareness, and you take a pie in the face and you nominate 3 people. And right now, I've just heard from somebody from the cast of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, who's assembling some of the people from that film, and they're going to do one of those. And I've had another actress who has done it, and I've had some others as well. Mm-hmm. And I thought I would throw that out to you if you was interested.
You want a pie in the face challenge me?
Sure. Okay,
so send me an email about it with a link.
You sound amused.
No. I'll do it. I'm not one to be challenged and not follow through.
Yep. Well, I've had one actress from the movie Class of 1984 do it. I did one myself, so I'm not asking you to do anything I didn't do. But mine only got like 70-some hits right now, and it was done in April. But the actress who did it, Lisa Langlois from Class of 1984, hers is up in the 4 digits right now, and it had 500 hits within a week. And these folks from Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6, one of the cast members contacted me last week and wanted the details, and she said she's getting together with a bunch to do it. And suicide and depression, it's a chemical imbalance, and I don't think it's understood enough. And I've seen the horrid effects that has on people. So I thought I'd throw that out, and of course, in return, I will donate to one of your charities.
My mom actually used to take classes with Robin Williams, and so she knew him. She was an actress as well. She was in Blansky's Beauties and a bunch of Gary Marshall shows. A show called Operation Petticoat.
Okay.
Gene Aston, Jamie Lee Curtis. So yeah, they used to take comedy classes together. So heard some Robin Williams stories.
Yeah, that was sad when he left us, but I thought this challenge just really spoke to me, and I thought, you know, a pie in the face is much more fun to watch than ice bucket challenge over the head, you know? So I thought I would reach out and throw that out to some of my interviewees, and I thought, well, I'm just thinking right now, since you like Charlie Chaplin, I thought you might be down for a challenge like that.
All right, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted? Well, I'll send you an email and I'll give you the details on it, and I'll see if I can.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Tori? It was an honor to have you come on here and talk to me, and you didn't hit me with your whip once.
No, I mean, this is through the phone, or I would have, of course.
Oh, I thought I was behaving better than Coma and Brumley.
No one can escape the wit of Debra Kadabra.
You know what? I loved you in that film, and what an honor it is to talk to you, and you were so good in that movie.
And thank you for having me.
And you know what? When this goes out, I will send you a link for it. Now, it might not go out for a little while because I got a few interviews in front of you, so if it doesn't go out for a while, don't fret, because it may not even be posted till next year. That's how many interviews I've had. But it will go out. But I do have a couple questions. Number one, this is after it goes out on CHSR. Eventually, it's going to end up on my YouTube page. And I was just wondering if, to go along with the audio, do I have your permission to use some headshots and whatnot?
Sure.
Okay. Another thing too, I would love an autographed picture. How do I go about that?
An autographed picture. I guess just send me a address, and I'll send one to you.
Sure, that would be awesome. And the last thing before I let you go, would you do a plug for my show?
What do you want me to do?
Okay, just say your name, and even say your name, Tory Taranova, aka Debra Kadabra from Everybody Wants Some, and say you're listening. Say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. Now, Python's Paradise is the name of my show, and say in New Brunswick.
Okay.
Okay.
Greg Gilbert, Python Paradise, New Brunswick.
That's right. New Brunswick, Canada. Yep. You ready? Okay, go.
Hi, my name is Tory Taranova, a.k.a. Debra Kadabra from Everybody Wants Some, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python Radio in New Brunswick.